Yo, yo.
How you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for coming on over.
Man, I'm glad to be here.
Oh my goodness. How's your day, man?
It's good, man. Just
No.
been doing a little bit of some house chores, this morning did go to Barcelona.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
took a train there. And yeah, didn't really do much except some chores and everything. It's finishing laundry a couple minutes ago. Finished dinner. So,
Oh yeah.
yep. How about you, man? What you been up to?
Uh today was like labor intensive. First thing I want to ask, I'm sitting outside. It's kind of windy. Can you hear like the wind and all that stuff? Is it all right?
No, I can hear you pretty. Yeah, I
All right.
did not hear any wind at all. I'm
Fire.
actually thinking of putting on some headphones though,
Yeah.
in case the you hear some echoing
Yeah. No
from my
worries.
speakers because I should have looked for these earlier,
Yeah.
but I did not.
That's okay. You have a PC and I don't. I have just regular headphones that I use. I use what you call it, little wireless ones. You take them anywhere. I like that we can do this whole thing from the phone, man. It makes it so much easier.
Oh yeah, for sure. See,
Um,
I have wireless headphones too, but like the battery life on them is not that great.
yeah,
So, you know, um, it will probably be recording and then they'll just die.
yeah, that's all good.
But I have some, I don't know where they are. I don't know what I did with them. Well, fuck.
All right.
But like, can you hear your echo? Like, can you hear yourself or no?
No, no, I'm good. I just want to make sure you couldn't hear like the people
Okay.
talking
Well, I
outside in
mean,
the wind.
I'll try to like look for them later and see if I can, just
Yeah.
in case, because like, just didn't want to have like you hearing yourself through my speakers and all that.
Oh no, bro, you were good. You were good.
All right.
I but yeah, man, I had a super labor intensive day today. I woke we woke up around 8 a.m. We had to go to Sam's parents' house and move washer and dryer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have like these huge massive like front loader things and I'm like, yeah, I can move those. I should be all right. And it's just me and Sam. Um don't really like I didn't really have anybody to call to like come help. So
Mm.
these things weighed, I mean, goddamn, it must have been like 200 pounds. And loading them in, taking them out, doing this, doing that, it was just a pain in the ass. But it really just showed me how like out of shape I am. I'm not gonna lie.
There
Like,
you go.
I mean, I'm kind of sick, so I don't know if that had something to do with it. But man, I didn't think I would have such an issue moving washers and dryers.
Well, I mean,
Um,
like, how often do you do heavy lifting? Like, how often do you actually move around like any like heavy objects? Because at work,
Man,
you're on your feet and stuff, and you're walking around and everything. But are you
I
doing
would
any
say
lifting?
I have not lifted anything over like 50 pounds in like 5 years.
But damn.
Yeah, except for myself. Like I still do the occasional push up and all that other good stuff, but it is it is eye opening for sure. So
Yeah.
my bad.
I don't know what to
Do,
say to
do,
that.
do you hear my kid? I'm sorry, I'm distracted.
No. I'm just trying to say, like, I mean,
Yeah.
those are clear signs that maybe you just gotta. I mean, look, you're not even 30 yet. Um, and if you're coming to that realization at this age, boy, you better get your ass moving.
Mm-hmm. I'm eating egg rolls right now, so I'm
Okay. Well,
happier right now.
yeah.
It's all
Okay.
about good life decisions. But other than that, like we really haven't been doing a whole lot lately. Like the financial situation that like my entire country's in right now, like you're not going out. You know what I mean? Like you're
Mm,
not spending money, you're not doing crazy stuff. You're Like we're just in house, and the only thing we really have are like the subscriptions and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have money, but you pay for Netflix and you pay for me, it's the Xbox Game Pass, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that gives you entertainment, but there's no outside value from that. That's not going to get you outside touching the air. Because you just can't afford it. Like, one of the things I wanted to talk about was like, what rent is like here now.
Okay.
I am somewhere in the ballpark. I think I pay about $2,500 a month, plus or minus $50, depending on the water bill. And right now, that is more than most people's mortgages. Like people who went out and bought homes and stuff. Like the rent out here has just been so fucking crazy. And the thing that I don't really understand is when you go to apply for these apartments, you have to fill out like every form of paperwork imaginable. You have to show them your proof of income, which, you know, you have to make 3 times the rent, right? So when I moved here, the rent was like 1,300 something. So I had to make, what is that? 13 times 3 is what?
3,900. So around 4,000. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to make $4,000 a month just to live here, which is, you know, that's okay. But what I don't understand is how they can hike the rent up so high in 2 years and have it almost doubled.
Yeah.
Because I was paying 1,300 and I had to make 4,000. Now I have to make 8,000 a month to live at, you know, this place. And they know that. Like the job hasn't changed, nothing like that, and they know that, and they're doing it to everybody that lives here. So like typically you have, you know, you budget and you do all this stuff to make sure that you're living clean and all that. But you're just stuck. You're stuck in a hole that when you do want to move out, not only do you have to pay the last month's rent, the place that you're going to, you have to pay first and last month's rent there too. So it's almost like it's designed to keep you stuck wherever you're at while slowly bankrupting you.
Yeah, but like why? Okay, like how do they? Like from a business perspective, right? Like they know there's no possible way that people can pay what they're, you know, what they're asking for, right? If, like you said, in the past like 2 years or so, they just raised it like through the roof. They know people won't be able to pay that.
Right.
They're never going to get paid that, or people are going to start leaving the place, and then who's going to be able to pay that anywhere? Like who's going to go there and be like, oh yeah, I can pay this. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like
and then,
they can't. It's like if you have a store and you just hike up all the prices, nobody's going to buy them. You're just going to bet that some crazy guy's going to go in there and buy everything, all your stock, just, you know, it's like that. Is that what they're expecting? Because like, I mean, I'm not saying like, I mean, 1,300 sounds pretty reasonable, but
yeah, 13 is reasonable. It should be, you should make your first month's rent in the first week of the month. Like that, that's the general rule of income. So like, I'm on a salary. I make enough money to live here technically, but with my salary, I'm actually like, you're supposed to use, I think like 30% of your check or 25% of your check to cover rent. We're using over 70% to cover rent. And that leaves 30% left of your income to take care of groceries, fuel, and all that other stuff. And it leaves like little to no room for improvement, savings, health insurance, stuff like that. Like I'm almost 30 years old, no health insurance. That's just kind of crazy to me. And what I don't understand is like it's across the board. So like even groceries, at where I work, I run a retail location, right? So I think we sell toothpaste for $10.
Damn.
I think it's like nine something. It's like $10 for a little bottle of toothpaste. And like a lot of people, you know, they're not moving up in their careers. Like people who are lifers at their jobs who just say, you know what, this is where I want to work. I'm going to stay here. I like it here. Eventually, it's almost like they get forced out of those roles because the roles don't pay enough to keep up with what's going on outside. And it just really, like, it's almost like it's designed, the system is designed to keep you in your home. You know, because
in the home that you can't even pay for.
Right. and then they'll tell you, hey, you need to buy a home. So, the housing rates here are ridiculous, right? You can pull up sales trends. Like we have an app called Zillow, and you pull up Zillow and you're like, all right, let me see this house. Okay, it's a $300,000 home. Let's see what it last sold for, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pull it up 2015, sold for 150,000.
Damn.
And then they're selling it again for 300K. So it's like everything is doubling, but the salaries aren't moving as fast. So I don't know. I think it's kind of like a systematic thing where it's designed to keep individuals in their homes a lot more instead of them going out and experiencing the world, like less travel maybe.
I don't know if it's so much. I mean, I don't think there's like some sort of conspiracy theory against seeing the world and being outside, but there definitely is, at least in the States, there's definitely this thing where like they want to keep you spending, like they just want you to keep spending money, but to the point where you can't pay because you're getting indebted, and you can't pay back those debts. So like how you end up in the streets and they still don't get paid. So why do they keep making you like basically just like, point a gun at your head and like keep spending.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep spending. And then like I can't do anything, like I can't pay for this. And then it's like, oh well, then you're gonna end up on the street. Like, okay, but I won't be able to pay for, like, what am I gonna do? Like, how does that work as for a business, for like how does that work? Because do they ever get their money? Like, because
right. Well, that's the big thing right now. Like at the store that I run, we're down in sales. It's like 11% down in sales. And then it also reflects that on our customer count. Like we track how many customers and transactions we do.
Right.
So we're down 11% in sales and down 11% in customers. So customers aren't coming in, and the people who aren't buying as much as they used to. So businesses are slowly losing money. The company I work for especially is losing money almost hand over fist. Right. And we're all just kind of at a standstill because we don't know who's going to make up that difference. Right. And then that's when all the cuts start happening, the layoffs. I think we were in a recession for a little bit. We're working our way out of it, and this is just like the outcome. So, I mean, it does eventually get better. Eventually it'll stabilize, but it's just one of those things, like you just have to make it. And right now we're grinding and, but I shouldn't be living today how I was 10 years ago. Like there should be some form of progression, but with companies and stuff not keeping up with inflation, they're barely able to keep up with workers. Most workers are moving to like Amazon. They're going to go work in the Amazon warehouse because it's stable and it's not dependent on individual location sales. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we're definitely in for some type of change. I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming. We got the presidential election coming up.
Yeah.
Next year, I think there's going to be a lot of reform. Hopefully, more good than bad, but it's just one of those wait and see things. But what is it like in Spain?
Yeah, well, I mean, all this to me just sounds crazy. Like the numbers you're throwing out there it's just it's just crazy. Okay, like and it's funny because right now we're in a situation where we're also looking for a place to rent. But just a little recap on my current situation, or I guess a little recap on what it's like in Spain. So, for example, I don't mind sharing this because it's not really like wow numbers. I make around 1,400 a month. That is 1,400 a month. We were looking for a little bit of reference. We were looking for a place to rent, and you got like 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment for around 1,200 a month.
Yeah,
that is just 200 euros that I would have left over for all the other bills.
Yeah. And I think crazy. If you think about it instead of like numbers, I think it's easier to think about it in percentages.
Yeah, well, in this case, it's basically like, I don't know, like 80%. I don't know.
Yeah.
it's crazy how much I would have to spend. Obviously, they wouldn't even rent the place out to you if you come with like, you know, a salary of 1,400, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then obviously you need somebody else to live in with you, right? But even
Yeah.
then, I mean, they don't ask for you to make a like double or anything like a specific percentage of what you have to pay for rent, but they do ask for your, you know, your past like 3 months pay slips and everything, so they can verify that you make enough to pay them. And they ask you to pay like 2 months, I think 2 or 3, depending on where you go, 2 or 3 months in advance.
Yeah.
And so that's already almost like 3,000 something, and then plus, you know, tax and the what do you call it? The what's the company that does
Hmm.
the properties? What's it called?
Oh, I have no idea. What, real estate or what?
Real estate, yes. So the real estate
Okay. Okay.
agency, I couldn't think of it. So the real estate agency, they take a commission off of that, and it's like 1,000 more, and ends up being
Yeah.
like 4 to 5,000 euros that you have to put down just to rent.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, it's around
And,
1,200, 1,300 for
yeah.
just a simple as apartment. It's not even like a house or anything, you know.
Yeah. And that's the way it's going here. Like, you know, like without filter, right? So, you know, back in the day, like I would say like, you know, 15 plus years ago,
Mm,
um, you would see, I don't even know how to say this proper, but like in the spirit of transparency, right? Like
mhm.
you're my best friend. No offense here. But you'd see a lot of Hispanics like living together, right? And as a
Oh yeah.
kid, we're like, damn, like 50 people in a van, you know, you got 10 people, like, wow, who would want to live like that, right?
Hmm.
And you know, this day and age, you know, I was talking to a really good friend of mine. I was just like, man, like we might need to do that. Like I think we're moving into an age where, you know, you're not buying single family homes anymore. You're
Hmm.
not getting single family property. You're moving multifamily units to where you can actually just afford to live. Like it's more than a two income household
Oh yeah.
lifestyle now. You need a multiple family income in order to live comfortably,
Oh yeah.
you know. And you know, we were just talking, and I was just like, man, they had it right, and they had it right from the start.
Well, I
You
think
know.
it's something that out of necessity in those cases.
Hmm.
It happens here as well. Like for example, my dad. I used to live with my dad,
Hmm.
paying rent as well. Like ever since I moved here, and
Yeah.
as soon as I started working, so I moved here when I was 18. I started being able to work more or less around 1920, just because I had to get my papers and all that stuff here in order just to be able to work. So I was
Yeah.
around 20 or so when I started working. And ever since, I've been paying rent, basically.
Hmm.
Like I was basically roommates with my dad.
Yeah.
You know, I was under the same roof, but it was not like I was living there for free. You know, I wasn't freeloading at all. Um, and we've always had to, you know, divvy up all the costs of, you know, cost of living into whatever. Uh, I guess at that time it was just my dad, his girlfriend, and me who were the only like working adults, you know, that could
Yeah.
actually pay for stuff. So it would just divide everything into three, and then each would pay their part. And then, but the thing is, like now he lives in a house. That's like I think 3 story, yes, 3 stories, and I think like 5 rooms, and he's living in, you know, the one room, it's en suite, and then the other 4 rooms he's got them all rented out to like just
Yeah.
random people, like a
And
guy
and
from
you.
Guatemala, a guy from Honduras, a guy from Argentina. Just they're all paying rent. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's not like crazy amount. I think he's paying 1,500 just because he's been living there for so long that the owner is like, all right, well, I mean, he did raise it a little bit. Like I think initially we were paying like 1,200, so it did
Yeah.
go up a bit, but not drastically. Not drastically enough where he had to like move out or anything, you know.
Right.
So, but still, like that's just to show you how like even like here. in Europe, like they still do that, and not just because they're Hispanic. In this case, they are.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's just because that it's out of need. There's no way they could. Like I said, like Natalia and I. I don't know if I should say her name, but it doesn't really matter. There's 1,000 Natalias in just in the city. So, but she and I were trying to look for something, and it's just it's not possible. Like, even if she's a teacher, even if she with her salary and everything, it's still not enough to make ends meet. Plus, we wanted to have possibly move in with her sister and her sister's boyfriend to make it a little easier, but even then it's just like too much money up front just to get the place, just to move in. That's like, I think we were looking at like the numbers and everything is like around 5,000 just to all like move in, and no furniture, so all unfurnished. You had to get all that as well. I mean, maybe like 6,000, 7,000 just total just to move in, and then spend like 1,200 a month. It's crazy, man. Like, I think it's a worldwide problem that we have. There's like just the inflation and everything. Obviously, when there's like a recession in one place, it kind of just like domino effects into like the rest of the world,
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's some part of it, like when you said that, like you had people like moving in together from like different family units.
Yeah.
That you could kind of see a silver lining to that, in the sense of like we're going back to living more as a community and relying on others just to, I guess, survive in a way. It shouldn't be that way. I'm not saying like that's the right way, but if you kind of think of it like that, where in the past where humans just had to rely on each other just to live, and
see, I don't, I'm definitely like for independence and stuff, but like I don't think it's a right or a wrong thing. You had mentioned as far as it being a necessity. I think that's just the way that we're moving, and I'm not opposed to a more communal living situation. I'm not opposed to that at all, because let's say if you and your girl move here, right, or I move over there, like it wouldn't be an issue.
Oh yeah,
because we know each other. It's only when you bring in strangers or people that you don't know, or what do we call them? The undesirables. Those are the wild cards that we have to watch out for, and it's
Latinos. Are you saying Latinos?
No, I'm not. I'm saying the ones that don't pay their bills on time. Like I got a good friend of mine that is well known for being late on rent every month. And the thing is like, here, you're late on rent, man. Go on and add an extra $300 on top of that per day.
Yeah.
They don't play around with late rent. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think we're moving into some like some different type of changes, but I think the best silver lining is a more communal atmosphere. I mean, think about what that would do for all the different families and stuff. Like, we grew up around each other, we grew up hanging out. Like, I was just, white kid from Duluth. And I mean, I was exposed to so many different cultures as a kid, right? Like, I had you as my best friend, right? Grew up together. I had my grandparents who are Filipino, and then of course in Duluth, heavy Korean population.
Oh yeah. Big time.
So it's just, I don't mind all the different cultures, because I think that's what kind of made me look very differently at the world and what it is today, where I don't know if you've had a conversation with like a 20-year-old kid lately. I did, and I can't wait to get into this, but man, they have such a closed off view to all the different communities. Yeah, man.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting, because
you'd think it'd be opposite of that, because like Gen Z and all that are like more open towards like, or at least that's what is shown on like social media and everything, where like you have Gen Z way more, I guess, liberal, way more open, accepting.
And see, And I actually had a really good point on that. Like, and I'm sorry, but when you said liberal, it made me think of it. Um, Liberals, man, like when we were, not when we were growing up, but like how we think now, we have liberals, conservatives, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like the roles have flopped, where now the conservatives are kind of like crybabies now, and the liberals are more like, no, we're gonna do it this way, and screw you if you don't like it. It's gonna be, it's almost like the roles have flipped,
In a way,
and yeah, it's really like it's really weird. Like I feel like I'm at a and in my political views, I think I'm very much in the middle. We were talking about
oh
this
yeah,
the other day, where some of our views are conservative, some liberal, but there has to be a balance between the two. I want to know when we're going to see an America that embraces that there is no left or right. It's just, hey, these are the problems. We need to solve these things. Whether you're conservative or liberal, this is going to
yeah.
affect everybody.
I think that's another big difference here in Spain, where obviously you do have both sides of the government. You do have left, right, all that stuff, but there's way more representation of, I guess, like in the middle, right? The guy that's just or a girl or whatever that doesn't really know where to go, and you have a pretty popular political party that kind of represents that idea, right? And
Right.
so, like, each election, there's probably, I want to say, like 4 or 5 big ones, like parties that you can choose from. Well, there's more, but the big ones that could possibly make it. So it's not so, just left, right, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have like 2 or 3 that are like right wing, but in different grades of right, and
Yeah.
same thing for left. And it's not like a blank vote where, like, that you're just throwing it out into the abyss and it's not going to count for anything. No, like, you actually could vote for one that's actually got a chance, because it's
Yeah.
pretty, like, I don't know, pretty like all around, like Spain, you do have like different regions that would vote more towards left or right, but it kind of balances out to the point where it's just like in between, like the 3 or 4 parties that I mentioned, and like either one could take it, So
Yeah.
in a way, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. And it's never to the point where it's like so radical that it's gonna truly affect, your, like, it's not going to be like some sort of dictatorship or something like that and just take
Yeah.
over. And it's never, there's like one party that's like that's like extreme right wing, like I'm talking just almost neo-Nazi kind of stuff.
Yeah. I
But
mean, we definitely have some of that stuff here, but I really, honestly, like if you ask me, I think if you're on the left, it's some of it is because of policies, but I think it's mostly just to show the other races that you're accepting, like just from a white person's point of view. If
see,
you're
that's a big
conservative,
thing in America. Race
hmm
just drives a lot of your political,
oh yeah,
like, I
definitely.
guess your political view. I don't know. I don't know if race drives one or it's the other way around, because
So I can't really speak for everybody, but what I will say as a white guy, if I go somewhere and I say I'm conservative, I'm pretty much telling them that I'm a racist,
oh yeah,
right? Like that's kind of
for
how that's
sure.
viewed.
That's
When in
accurate.
reality, it's like, no, like look at these things. Like a lot of people, uh, just destroyed Trump, especially in my friend group.
Hmm.
This guy's an asshole. He's a racist. He encourages racism and all that other stuff. And on one hand, I think he definitely exposed a lot of racists for sure.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people look over what he was actually able to do as president and some of the really good things he brought to not just one specific group. So, like liberals, I feel whenever there's liberal in office, rich get rich, poor get poor. And it was the first time in my adult life where I actually had a president put more money in my pocket and help me support my family better
Mm.
by lowering the cost of my expenses. And it is no coincidence that after presidential change, that gas goes up $1, and some change, and rent's going up almost $1,500. Like there's no real coincidence there. I think it's just the different types of leadership. And I feel, and it's weird because even saying it out loud, it feels kind of like dirty to be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of like Trump, man. Like when Trump was president, like I actually,
I
like
think
I was thriving, I was progressing in my
I think
life.
because, and I think we briefly touched on that last time we talked, where I think because he has a businessman background, like he's run business, some better than others. I mean, I know he's had some like bankruptcy problems and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff, and but I guess in he kind of knows what he's doing with
Yeah.
like money, more or
Well,
less,
what
more.
I'm saying is I don't want people to, oh my God, Trump's the greatest, because he had problems, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
he created
But
social
that's what I'm
divide
saying.
here.
Like money wise, like the economy and all that stuff, he probably did a lot of good in that sense.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of like, I think what most people, and especially people on the left, the idea, the image they have of him is him, kind of just leaning towards that like separatism of
Yeah.
like left and right, like leaning towards that to gain, followers and gain voters and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
the fact that he played on that so much kind of makes it like I don't really want to say I support him because like look at all he did, like all his speeches, all this stuff he did was like always just like the stuff he would say, the stuff he would deny, and then like you'd have like videos of him like saying the complete opposite, like that kind of stuff. The social part, the social aspect of his persona, just in general, not only as a president, just in general, is what I think pushed a lot of people back. And
Yeah.
now, if you say like, "Oh yeah, I kind of like what he did in this aspect," then you're kind of like that's the thing. Like it all goes back to where nowadays there's no way you can. There's no gray. It's always black or white. It's always left or right. And like you
Yeah.
can't kind of like one thing and then dislike this other thing. And like there's no way you can do that now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
And part of me like I get it, but sometimes I mean there does need to be gray. It's just when you're gray, you don't get the respect, because it's like, oh, you're fair weather, you don't know whether to stand on your right foot or your left foot, because when this thing happens, you need to be prepared to take a stand. And it's like, well, as Americans, I think we need to be prepared to do what's right and do the right things. And sometimes those are hard decisions to make, and sometimes those are easy decisions to make, and I think the gray areas, they don't get as much respect. That's why like here you'll never see a libertarian president,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't get the respect that they need, nor do they get the financial backing
Oh
to
yeah.
compete against these people, right?
Well, you kind of said it right there, the financial backing. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much money put into just having two parties. The two-party system brings just so much money with campaigning and
Oh
all
yeah.
that stuff. Like there's so much to it that I doubt we'll ever see like multiple parties,
Yeah.
like you said, a president that's like a libertarian or any other party that's out there.
Right.
I doubt we'll ever see that because there's just so much money behind just the two-party system, and there's so much clout, and there's so much just everything. Like the media goes crazy. I mean, you clearly know when like a media source is leftist or right. Like it's so clear. Like you don't even have to, you know, you already know, right? It's crazy. It shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't have media clearly back one side and not the other, and
We'll
that
see.
shouldn't be it. That's not how it's supposed to work. But
Well,
there's so much money behind it, ratings and all this, that's how it is.
well, to me, I mean, it just, if I'm looking objectively, and I don't, I just think we're close to a revolution, man.
Mm,
If I'm being honest, right? Because whenever things started becoming too heavily black white, no gray areas, no understanding, it's this or nothing.
mm.
Historically, I mean, that's when a revolution happens. That's when the reform happens. So, I mean, I do think we're very close to that, but that's to be seen. I mean, that I'm not trying to.
No,
Yeah,
it's
you
just,
know what I mean?
to me, it's just sad seeing it that way. You know,
Mhm.
growing up there, like obviously, I have extremely fond, views of America. Having been raised there and everything, like to me, it's just like my home, and
Yeah,
seeing it in the state that it is, hearing you, seeing the news, seeing everything, to me, it's just sad. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it just disappoints me to see it in that state where like people are just so at each other's like throats and just like you
yeah.
say one word wrong, you don't call somebody by a pronoun, you say that it's just like they're oh it's just
And I really do think that a lot of that stuff is going to change.
I hope so,
Like the
man.
pronoun, like all of this, and not that the pro. I mean, it's not that the pronouns are a problem.
No,
It's just
yeah, my
they
mentioning
don't make
that was it's just like a thing
well.
that like
Well,
it's
they just don't
so
make
chaotic.
sense. Okay, they don't make fucking sense. That's not how the English language works. And I will 100% die on that hill. And I think with that
Mhm.
logic is why a lot of them just quit doing that. And one of the worst things I feel is just when a company takes that
Mhm.
and uses it for capital gain, right? So
Oh
when we
yeah.
talk about pronouns, it's like, hey, we're short staffed on employees. Let's be more accepting of gay culture so we can get more employees, and we'll still treat them like shit. But who cares? We won't be short staffed, right? Or when a company changes its thing to rainbow to support the Pride during Pride Month, it's
Mhm.
laughable because those CEOs aren't up there.
Oh hell no. It's
You know what I
all
mean?
just it's all just for show. It's just a
Yeah,
mask that they put on. And the problem is that people from those communities don't either don't see it or don't realize. I mean, I guess I'm sure that some do. If I was from that community, if I was gay or whatever, and I saw that, it would just be so blatantly obvious that it's just for like it's just for money, it's just for show.
yeah,
They
yeah.
don't really care about me and my preferences in terms of like you know homosexuality and all that stuff. Like they don't care. They just
Well,
want more money.
that's what cracks me up too because they flock to Disneyland,
Mm.
and like that's one of the things like white people get a really bad rap. It's like, you guys, slave drivers, this, you were that, blah 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 blah, all this stuff. But then they'll all flock over to Disney, and it's like, well, Disney was like a very well known anti-Semite,
Oh
and
yeah, for sure.
did not appreciate
And
gays
things
or anything.
change. Obviously, they change, and sometimes that kind of changes is because either it could be various things. One, they realize their mistakes and they realize that they want to go away from that image, which could be,
Yeah,
I mean, Disney, like Walt Disney himself was pretty anti-Semite and all that, but that doesn't mean that the people who took over the company after him and all that were right.
true.
And it could be that they want to kind of clean up their image and lean away from that and all that stuff, which would make complete sense if you're running a business, right? You kind of want to go as far away from that as
Well,
you
see,
possibly
that's
can, and not just like for show or money, is because maybe the new showrunners actually don't have those thoughts and
Yeah, but you can have those views and not try to make money off of it. Like that's one of my biggest things here. People will use religion and
mm, yeah,
sexuality. They will use all that stuff to turn a profit, and
oh yeah.
I don't like it because you just it just feels wrong to me.
Mhm.
I don't know.
No,
Um,
I completely agree with you. And plus, the thing is, it works on both sides. Like, it doesn't matter what business you're running. You lean towards one side or the other, you're still gonna you're still gonna be making money. It doesn't matter which side you choose. Because
except for
there's
Bud
just
Light. Bud Light got fisted by that stupid thing. Bud Light got
that's
fucking
true.
ruined when they made that choice
That's true.
because when
That's
and I
like
think
one of the, but that's a good point. That's like one of the only ones that I could definitely say, the whole boycotting thing actually worked, and
well, it's just
it lost
consider
a
your
lot of people.
product, man.
Yeah,
Like consider your product. Like
that's true. That's true.
you're sponsoring the UFC and all these other things, and you're gonna transition into that. Like it just doesn't work like that. Your fan base, your average consumer they're not against it, but like your average consumer are the people barking like, "Hey, why do we need this on beer?"
That's
Like
that's the
I
thing.
don't want people to
Yeah.
know my political stances when I'm just trying to have a beer or go to a party. Like,
That's a really good point because I think that's the problem with most businesses that try to like put on that mask of hey, I represent this. Like,
yeah,
who
like
the
we
fuck
care.
cares? Like, I'm just trying to enjoy X. I don't
Yeah,
care what you stand for because you don't really stand for that.
yeah.
Like
Like,
that's
show me how you built a relationship with the community
yeah,
besides tacking a pride flag on your beer. Show me the
exactly.
donations that you've made to help better people's lives. Because I have no issue with gays, man. Like I have
No, yeah,
at
and with that's the thing. Like that's the problem is that when it's so on the nose and so like, oh no, I support gays. I support like when
that's
it's
like a politician.
yeah,
It makes
when
you not
yeah,
trust them.
exactly. Because it's
You
like
know,
that's so fake that I don't believe you. Because
right?
I'm not going like I'm not racist. I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm not anti-trans or gay or anything. And I'm not going around this like yelling it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm pro everything. I'm pro every no.
No, it's just I'll
I
sit down and have
show
a
it
beer with
in
you.
yeah, like I
I'll invite you to come on over, have a seat, let's talk. I'm curious about your views and like that's how you show the
mm,
respect is, what are we doing for these people in their everyday lives?
yeah.
You want to bring awareness. We're very well aware. It is a common thing now. It's common. It doesn't need to be broadcasted. It's just if you are great, it shouldn't make you special.
Mm,
And I think that's like the big thing. But we you had mentioned moving to Spain, right? You moving probably what when you're 18,
yes,
19?
sir. Yes, sir. 18.
How
Just
glad were you when you got over there? I'm just curious. Like, did you feel a sense of relief when you
mm,
got there and you realized that not every country is like America? Like, was
it
it?
was scary to be
Yeah.
honest.
Hmm.
A bit scary. But definitely eye opening for sure. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say glad because I left kind
Well,
of
you
not
had a life here.
yeah, but the problem was I don't know how much I want to get into the details, but that like almost out of necessity, I guess I could mention that my grandpa had died. So I turned 18 in February. My grandpa died in like April, and I moved here in June.
Yeah.
Just because I had to finish high school and everything. And my dad was living here in Spain at the time, and it
Yeah.
was his dad that died. And so I was like, all right, as soon as I graduate and everything, I want to, move to Spain and be with my dad because he just lost his dad. And my
Yeah.
grandpa was in Uruguay, as you know.
Yeah.
So I imagined like my dad being here, and I've always been like great friends with my dad. Like we've always been
Yeah.
very close. So I imagine him having lost his dad and being by himself. Well, not by himself. He has a girlfriend here, but it's not the same. Not having like family.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna see him. I'm gonna be with him. Honestly, I didn't think I was gonna live here for like 12, 13 years. Which is the time I've
Well,
been living.
where would you have gone? I mean, do you think you're going to go back to Uruguay or what?
No, I think I would have. I mean, at one point I did think about that, but I think I was like, all right, let's try Spain, and then maybe I'll go somewhere else in Europe. Because
Yeah.
once you're in Europe, it's easier to kind of move around and everything. But I never actually like Spain. Never called to me in any way. Like, sure, I spoke the language, which was easy, but made things easier. Sorry, but like it's not like I don't know. There was nothing here that I didn't even know anything about Spain.
Yeah.
Like
And that is a huge benefit, actually.
mm,
All right. Like you
I
spoke
guess,
the
yeah. No
language.
spoilers. Oh, you mean
You
knowing the language? Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, like you knew the language. You went there, no language barrier. Now, what I'm curious about, if you move to Germany, how's it gonna be interacting with a like just a completely foreign language?
Well,
What's that
see,
language barrier
I
gonna
guess
feel like?
because the fact that I moved from Uruguay to the States, a place where I had no idea like what to expect in the States. I was
Uh-huh.
7 years old, so I was very young. So I mean, that kind of is a given. But like, and then I had no clue on like the English language. I had nothing, no idea, nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to say hello or anything, not even the basics, right? Because I
Right.
was still a kid. I didn't even get to that point in school where maybe they teach it and all that stuff. But no. And so to me, going somewhere where I don't know the language, don't know the people, don't know the culture, to me wasn't that big of a deal. Like it wasn't, I'd done it before, so I could do it again. You
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
so if I had come here and then moved to like Germany or France or whatever, I was up for it. Like, yeah, let's do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
end up doing it just because I had to stay here for a while, to get all my paperwork in check and all that stuff, being a resident here and all that stuff. And that took a couple of years. So by that time I had started like studying, I had a girlfriend that, it all built up and I ended up just staying here.
Yeah. And now you have a life there.
Oh yeah.
You what you call it? You had you've officially spent more time over there than you have in America.
Yeah, which is nuts. Because when I think on it, it just like the past 11 to 12 years to me, I don't want to say they've flown by, like when, old people say, oh, time flies, but it almost has. Like I blinked and I'm 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I've been here for 12 years, which is more than I lived in the States. And to me, that's crazy. And because when I think of like my time in the States, it like time wise to me, it's like I lived there for like 30 years.
Yeah. I mean,
I
these
lived
were
there
your
all my
formative
life.
years. You were.
Yeah, that's the thing. Obviously, because I moved there, I was there since what year that I guess, yeah, the year 2000, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so much happened in the year 2000, like from the year 2000 onward. So much happened
Yeah.
in such little time, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And that just the fact that it was so intense, and there were years, like very important years, your childhood, then you turn into a teen, you live all your teen years there, and you go to high school and all that, and your first
Yeah.
kid, your first whatever, all that packed into like 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
Obviously that's going to leave a much bigger mark than 11, 12 years being an adult, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Now, would you consider ever living here again, knowing what you know now?
In the current state, no.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Nah,
It's just
bro.
expensive. It's expensive.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like in the current state of things, in terms of like, if I can barely, dude, I rent a room out of my mother-in-law's apartment. Okay. Like I pay her 300 euros a month to live in her house. And my girl doesn't even live with me. She lives with her dad. And I'm just, like, which is fine. I mean, I get along just fine with my mother-in-law. By the way, I'm not married. It's just, that's what usually we call in the Hispanic
And your girl
world.
doesn't live with you? That just sounds like a lot of masturbation in your mother-in-law's basement.
She doesn't have a basement, but yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah,
That sounds really hard.
I mean, it's fine. She's fine. She's, she takes care of me. She buys things for me. And so,
I mean,
it's nice.
my in-laws just gave me a really nice washer and dryer that I had to move, but
right.
yeah.
Well, it's that kind of thing, she, so like living with her is fine. I don't mind it.
I think liking your in-laws is a huge red flag, actually.
Why is that a red flag?
It's just kind of a red flag, dude. Like,
explain yourself.
It's just weird, Like,
nah, dude.
Like, how do you look somebody in the eye and after you fuck their daughter? Like, like that's hard. That's hard for me.
Be a man and just do it. I mean, you know what? You want to know, like, even more like awkward, moments like that. I've taken a shower with my girl, like together, at at her dad's house, and because initially they weren't there, they were just like out, having dinner or whatever. But they came back to the house while I was taking a shower with her. And like he would be outside the door and be like, "Are you guys taking a shower together?" And we'd be like, Yes.
Oh
And
my
he would just
God.
laugh, and then that's it. And then we go out and out of the bathroom and everything, and then just sit, on the
Well,
couch
I
and
think,
watch a movie and all that stuff. It was fine. It was not awkward.
well, I mean, you guys have been together for like 10 years, right?
Yeah, we've been
Yeah.
together for a while. I mean, if it was, I mean, I've had encounters where when I first started going out with her, we weren't even going out. I was, seeing her and everything. Where he was out of town or whatever, and I was at her house, and he would just come back just unexpectedly, and I'd have to like run into the other room. That was awkward, but
Wow.
that's because it was we were just children.
I mean, I've been on that side of it too, multiple times. Not with my wife, when I was a fucking deviant,
Hmm.
running and hiding and stuff.
Yeah,
Those, man,
we can get to those someday for sure.
those were some sketchy times. Goodness gracious.
We'll get to
But
those. We'll get to those eventually.
mm.
But I don't know.
So
I think it all ties back to the whole what we were talking about towards the beginning, where like community and living together as family and everything. It kind of it teaches you a different. It gives you a different perspective on just everything in general, and
yeah,
how relying on those around you, even though they're not like in this case my family like blood, they're still family, and relying on them and being able to get along with them, I think is super important, and just in general, not only like economically, because I couldn't pay for my own rent if I was living on my own.
I mean, it's good. Like it's good to have like that decent relationship.
Yeah, I
Where
want to
you
make things
can.
clear. It's like for the next year or two max after this like time
Nah,
period.
man. I
And
mean,
then after that, I want a place of my own. I want to be able to walk around butt naked if I want to, and
yeah, and I
not.
think that's more me. Is just I'm more about like that. Like I just have to have my own space.
Oh yeah.
Like the fact that I have to do this podcast on my porch and not in my own home kind of bothers me. But it's just one of those things where, like with my in-laws, we get along. But if I had to live with them, I think I would prefer to live in my car.
Mm.
And it's not because they're bad people, man. Like they're great people. I have a great relationship with all of them, and it's fine. It's just when you cross that boundary of like personal space, um, at least like with me, I can't speak for Americans, but for me, you cross that boundary of personal space, like I can't do it. Like I have
Mm.
to be able to be somewhere that's my own, that nobody is gonna like intrude on.
Yeah, I still have that mindset. I guess from growing up in America, I think it is a little bit of
Yeah.
an American thing, and I like sometimes when my girl says, "Hey, we're going to hang out with so and so or whatever." I'm an introvert as well, so if I can
Yeah.
find an excuse to not and just stay home or not even
Yeah.
stay home, but go out for a run, do whatever, but my own time. Oh man, I would
Yeah.
find that I don't.
Yeah. I do that all the time, man. Like I'm one of those guys. It's just nice to be invited, but I'm not going.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, like I
hit
appreciate
me
it,
up.
but no.
Yeah. Like, and if it is, it can't be a group. It's got to be like me and you and plus one. Like
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I can
Max.
handle. That fucking anxiety gets me where I don't want to. I just look at people and I just get mad and I'm like, you know what? I probably should stop hanging out in large groups or stop going to parties. Like this is just, it's not good for my mental health.
No, yeah.
But then I turn around and I manage like 30 people. I got to deal with 30 people every day. And some of them are kids, some of them are grown adults. Like one thing that's really suffering here is just like the workforce.
Mm.
Um, Man, they just suck. They're so bad. Everybody is on that. Like, I'm not lifting a finger until I get paid a cent more, even though you're hiring me to do this job. I'm not going to do this job 100% until I get paid more, type of deal. Where, one side of me, I'm like, yeah, I can understand that. Act your wage, do what's in your scope.
Mm.
But I'm coming from a generation where when we worked and whatever, it was we're going to do a little bit extra. So when that time for more money comes, we will be the first person on their mind. the workforce now, they don't think like that.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not doing shit, fuck you, pay me. And as a manager, I'm like, it kind of sucks, but like if I was them, I'd be the same way. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I think there has to be a healthy balance of knowing your worth and then
Yeah.
showing your worth.
Yeah, like give me a demonstration. You say you're worth this amount. Show me how. Because doing the bare
Exactly.
minimum of your job,
That
like it's
that's
just
it.
not. Yeah,
If
like
you're
you're.
gonna have to take some shitty, like, I mean, I'm not saying that I think being under like some sort of stress and feeling like shit sometimes pays off so that later you can say, look, I got through that, I picked myself up, or I didn't even fall, and I just kept, going through and just moving forward, and I came out of it. And look at me now, and now I can say, look, I've been through all this shit, so I know what it's like. I want, this amount because I know what I'm doing, and I know that I'm worth it. That's
Yeah.
different. When you can do that and like genuinely do that, then if I'm a manager, I'm like, look, I've seen your work, I've seen what you've gone through. You know what? You got it. But like
Yeah.
you're saying, if you're just sitting there, scratching your balls all day and then expecting to make double, triple, whatever, nah.
Oh, it's crazy, bro. Like that's a thing, and that's what I tell people. I'm like, you work hard for me, you show up, you do what you need to do, and you go home. Don't give me
Mm-hmm.
headaches, don't give me problems. Absolutely, when this next role opens up, you will be the first person on my mind. But if you can't even show up to work, bro, like that's the first thing you have to address. Oh, well, I got this, I got that. It's like everybody has shit going on.
Oh yeah.
You don't think when I was your age I didn't have shit going on? I was at work, I'm trying to make it better.
Yeah.
But
No.
that whole the workforce is struggling right now, man.
Well, maybe that's a subject we can get into next time I come over.
Yeah, come on over. We'll talk about workforce. We'll talk about I don't know. We got to hammer down some topics.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That I'm glad we got the politics out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really like to get into that too much, but I think it's important to talk about it at least sometimes. Get your thoughts out in the airwaves, out on the podcasts, and so yeah.
And we got, let's see, we got about 2.5 minutes left. Okay, with this 2.5 minutes,
Yes.
I'm gonna need oh shoot, my Siri's talking to me. I'm gonna need some. What games are you playing right now?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Whoa, this is like ASMR level quality right here, bro.
I'm playing
Oh Jesus!
3. And
Sounds like you're giving head. So just running just BG3 and blowjobs, man. That's great. That's great.
Baldur's Gate 3. And Death Stranding on PS5.
Oh, you have a PS. Oh, you do have a PS5. How's Death Stranding?
Good. I always since it came out, I wanted to play it, and now that I have a PS5, I have the PS Plus whatever, and so it comes free. Well, not free because I paid for it, but you know what I mean.
No.
So yeah, it's fun. I like it. It's more than a walking simulator, as some criticized it to be. It's a beautiful game. I think. Very interesting. What are you playing?
Right now, I'm running Diablo 4. I'm doing Call of Duty, of course. That's just a time waster. That game is fucking horrible.
The new one, the newest one.
It's not the newest. It's Modern Warfare 2. The newest one comes out in like a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Running Diablo 4 is like my big thing right now, and then if I'm not doing that, I'm running Forza. The new Forza just came out on Xbox, so I'm running that. But it's good. That's probably talking about games and stuff is what we're gonna get on probably soon.
Yeah, I really want to have a whole episode on games. I think.
Yeah, for sure,
or more than one, because that's always going to be something that I always have something to talk about games.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then you still going to the gym and all that?
I am not.
Jesus Christ.
We'll get on that too. We'll do a fitness episode as well, I think.
Yeah, I think that'll be nice.
Maybe
Drop some
motivate
stuff
each
out
other.
there, and then we'll get into some good stuff tomorrow. I think it's definitely, there are some topics that I wanted to get into, but I guess we had to get with politics first. But with that, I mean, I appreciate you coming on over.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. And to clarify, you are 100% the partner in this channel. You're not
I will be a permanent guest.
Yes, permanent guest. And then we'll invite some other people to come on over, get some theories out there, talk about some ideas, whether it's politics, games, or whatever else anybody else wants to talk about.
They can come right over.
Come on over. Well, all right. It was good talking to you.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Likewise.
Have a good night.
Talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.